Well, a warm hello to you and thank you for joining me here. This is the video for the full moon in Taurus, which happens on the 5th of November, which is also bonfire night here in the UK. So we'll be having fireworks and bonfires all over the place, as well as our wonderful supermoon in Taurus. This will be visually large and closer to the Earth. So potentially very beautiful moon. And of course the moon is exalted in Taurus. Here in the UK, the time of the full moon, the precise time, will be about 20 past 1 in the afternoon. And the full moon is occurring at 13 degrees and 22 minutes of the sign of Taurus. And so obviously our sun is opposite that, and that will be at 13 degrees and 22 of Scorpio. The moon is in its exaltation in Taurus, and there it's inviting us to slow down, to simplify, to ground, to embody, and to remember and celebrate the simple joys of being alive on the earth. So let's talk a little bit about Taurus. It is a fixed sign. It's an earth sign. It's very stable. It's perhaps one of the signs most associated with nature, with the earth, with growth, with all things to do with the natural environment. Now, we've just had Halloween. And Halloween, the 31st of October, is the end of the Celtic year. So for the Celts, that's when the year ended. And their new year was the 1st of November. That began a whole new season because they were completely tuned in to the idea of the year being based around growth, being based around the time when you could grow your crops, raise your cattle, raise your other livestock, create food that you could then put away for the winter. And that season of growth and the harvest ended by the 31st of October. And that continues to be the case that it has. And so this big full moon in Taurus is the moon that says this is it. This is the dissemination. The harvest is over. We're done for this year with the growing. And it's time, if you like, to hunker down and prepare for those dark months ahead. And to do so by embracing and celebrating some of the joys of living. I think this grounding is going to be really important for us. November generally is still quite an eventful month, and we've come through an incredibly eventful, turbulent year. And so I think this opportunity to ground physically within the self, is very stabilizing for us and something which enables us to regroup, if you like, and to reassess and think again about where we're heading and what we have achieved. As you know, I use a tarot astrology combination, and I drew just 3 cards for the full moon reading, and the one that I think relates most to what I've just been saying is this, the 9 of Cups. This is a card about satisfaction, about pleasure, about simple enjoyment, and I think that self-care that can come out of that. This can be sort of care for the body, care for health, our well-being in all sorts of ways. The ruler of our full moon, of course, is Venus. And although we've moved into Scorpio season now, Venus remains in the sign of Libra. She goes into Scorpio on the 8th of November. So we're still looking at this sense of balance, of harmony, of redressing imbalances. And just days before the new moon, Venus formed a tense T-square. Venus in Libra formed a tense T-square with Chiron in Aries and Jupiter in Cancer. And so this was speaking of a need to explore some long-standing issues in relationships, some quite knotty, difficult things that need to be addressed and need to be explored and brought into the open to be aired and made better. As I've said, Taurus is associated with the earth, so we may also be seeing issues of concern about the land, the ground, the oceans, our environment. And also this axis of the full and new moon, the Scorpio-Taurus axis, is one that's also about financial markets. And we know that Venus through Taurus and Libra can in many ways be associated with those, with possible fluctuations there. This is especially the case because Uranus, the planet of disruption, surprises, sudden events, goes back into Taurus on the 8th of November and remains there until the 26th of April 2026, when it will enter Gemini for the foreseeable future. At the time of our full moon, Uranus is also in opposition to Mars, and Mars is conjunct right next to Mercury. So Mars, the planet of action, of war, of anger, Mercury, the planet of communications, both opposite Uranus, which we know can be associated with sudden and unexpected events. We could be hearing startling, shocking news, and we should also be sure to be chilling down with those Taurian vibes and avoiding explosive and reactive behaviours that could be possible. All times of the year, including the midwinter, have their own wonderful beauty, but I think there is a special soft beauty associated with those months that Venus rules. And so that would be the month when Taurus in the springtime, so we're talking about April and May, late April to May, and then of course 21st of September to about the 23rd October, when we're into the Libran season. They're both times when the natural world is very beautiful. Venus is playing a key role in this moon, and she was in the previous moon, and her role continues beyond the moon as well. So let's look at that. So Venus has been a key player for quite some time now, and our goddess Venus has many phases and faces and different meta expressions, if you like, of the nature of the goddess there. Interestingly, Venus is the morning star at the moment, but she sets on the 26th, is it? Of the 26th of November, she sets, and she would be disappeared from our skies. She then begins her journey behind the sun. So she's the far side, the superior conjunction. She goes the other side of the sun from where we are. Now, Venus won't come out from her journey behind the sun until the 16th of February 2026, when she will emerge as the evening star. That will be very close to the horizon. We may not see her for some time until she mounts higher into the sky and becomes more visible. But I think this is interesting because Venus's journey behind the sun is often seen as her journey, the journey of Inanna into the underworld. And of course, we are journeying ourselves into winter, into the dark time of the year. And when Venus re-emerges, it will be spring, and she will be primed there to oversee again that growing season, that burgeoning in Taurus, which will take place shortly after. The planet Venus, of course, is deeply associated with the yin or feminine energies, but similarly is Black Moon Lilith, which is associated with the aspects of the feminine, the wild feminine, which have not been allowed into society, into life, have not found their fullest manifestation in our world. Let's put it that way. But interestingly, we have coming into trine, it's not exact yet, but it's an emerging trine between Black Moon Lilith, Saturn, Neptune, and Jupiter. And this speaks of building and creating and shaping something new there, something new emerging and growing. And I'd now like to show you a second tarot card that I pulled. So here we have three people, the craftsman, stonemason here, architect and priest there, three different energies working together to build something sacred and important. And I can't help but notice that the three pentacles up above them form a trine and seem to echo those energies I've just been talking about with Black Moon Lilith and with Saturn and Neptune, and also Jupiter's in there too. So really interesting resonance there for that creation of something new that those energies seem to be bringing in. And just to labour the point, the figure here, the architect who holds the scrolls, the plans for what's being produced, and the figure next to him, the priest, I can't help but think how suitable those figures are. The architect for Saturn and the priest for Neptune. It just amuses me that those possibilities exist there and that the synchronicity of that card coming out. So I spoke about the Taurus-Scorpio axes that the full moon is on opposite the sun in Scorpio. And we're looking there at simplicity opposite intensity. And we can see that Venus herself being plunged into this intensity just a day or so after the full moon. As I've said, for our full moon, Venus is in harmony-loving, peace-seeking Libra. But on the 6th, just one day after, she will move into Scorpio, where she becomes rather more intense. And then on the 8th, she will form a challenging aspect to Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio. And this will throw up some very deep themes. It can be an indicator of enormous passion, but also of some huge power struggles, potentially some dark and deep events, really, and feelings. I want to come back to this idea of this creating something new, because back at the new moon in Taurus, back in the springtime, I spoke about the need for us to plant our own seeds, to write our own story, be author our own lives, plan and create our own way forward. And now, of course, we have come on a journey with that and arrived at the point of the full moon in Taurus, where we can look and think, how are we doing with that? Are we right? What is the story we're writing for ourselves and for the future? How's that looking? But of course, we're also invited to tune into the natural world with this Taurus moon. And this brings me to my final card, the third card that I drew, which is the Knight of Cups. Because here's the Knight on this journey of the heart, this meandering journey that he's taking, that we've been taking, and that we are continuing to take into the future. It's a heartfelt journey. It's a journey inspired very much from the heart. But I guess the message from this night is that we mustn't become too dreamy and vague, that we must hold our vision and know what it is that we wish to create, that we wish to bring into our lives. But of course, we're also invited now to take the moment, to live in the moment, to enjoy the safety of the moment, as exemplified by the full moon in Taurus. So put up your fairy lights, light the scented candles, take those long hot baths and showers, sit down to the delicious food, enjoy the sensuous aspects of being here, of being alive, and celebrate those. I think this is such an important time of year because the season is changing, as our ancestors knew. This is the end of the year, really. And I know with our calendars, the Julian calendar, we don't agree with that. But from nature's point of view, it is. And it will all be beginning again. And I think we're called to take a little pause, to be kind to ourselves and to enjoy. Because our society would keep us fretting and busy 24/7, wouldn't it? Without let up at all. But that isn't nature's way. And actually, we're tuned into much deeper, older rhythms than those that are imposed on us by modern living. Like the earth itself, Taurus endures. And we've had a lot to endure and probably have a bit more to come. So perhaps we can take some lessons from this book of Taurus to get us through, to stabilize us, to strengthen us, to give us that ballast and sense of self that we need. So with that in mind, I think I will light a lamp, get myself a cup of tea, call my dog to snuggle up and read a good book, because that will bring me intense pleasure. I shall really enjoy that. I hope whatever you're doing, you are able to tap into your joys too and make the most of those as the days grow shorter. I will be back with you soon. And until then, take care.